Yo, what's good everybody? So today we're gonna check out a video called The Truth About Unique Voices. I've been getting a request to check out this video a lot. It's a video about the indie girl voice, if you guys know that sort of voice, where some girls or even guys will sing sort of like, they'll mush their vowels together and do something like, hello, I love you. Like, hello, I love you. That kind of stuff. Selena Gomez does that kind of a thing. I mean, this kind of sound is everywhere today. But look, before we get into this video, check out my website, youcanSingAnything.com. I am actually a vocal coach. Cut out the actually in that. Check out my website, youcanSingAnything.com. Check out my website, youcanSingAnything.com. I am a vocal coach. I teach Skype lessons online every single day. Singing lessons online. Voice lessons. I teach voice lessons online every single day through Skype. Also check out my Patreon. There's gonna be a link in the description. On my Patreon, I have a reward where I will review your singing in a video very, very similar to this one. Also in the description is a link to my vlog channel. Okay, all that being said, here we go. The truth about unique voices. So I want to have a very respectful conversation about this. I think that we should be able to disagree about vocal technique and voice and how to sing respectfully. And I think that having these sort of dialogues is actually really helpful for people who are trying to sing, because they get to hear two different sides of the story and they get to see where they fit. Because usually one person doesn't have all the answers, and usually there's a lot to gain from having a mild disagreement about vocal technique. So anyway, the truth about unique voices. Let's see what this person has to say about the indie girl voice.
Would you bleed for me? Lick it off my lips like you needed me. Would you sit me on a couch with your fingers in my mouth? You look so cool when you...
So they say contradictions and problems arise when it comes to what people think makes a voice distinct or unique.
Reading me, this cause a little trouble.
It's become very common for people to associate a particular indie style of singing as unique. So the point that they're trying to make here is that, well, let's just let people.
Welcome to my kitchen. We have bananas and avocado.
I love that. I love that vibe.
I bet you kiss your nut.
So they're saying that, kind of going fast. Anyways, this supposed unique style of singing has become so commonplace, referring to it as such feels ridiculous. So they give some examples. Most of the following are artists who I've loved, but some do fall victim to this unfortunate trend, the first being airiness. So they're saying that things like airiness in the indie voice is a problem. They're going to talk about the accent soon.
Smoother than a storm.
So they're saying airiness is evidently an easy tool to employ, but it has its drawbacks, shown by Lena struggling to project even with the mic. So if a singer is singing with airiness and they're quote-unquote struggling to project even with a microphone, that isn't really an issue with the singer. That's more of an issue with the sound technicians, in my opinion. Because if you know that the singer that you're going to be working with is an airy vocalist and sings with a lot of air in their voice, it's your job to be sure that they can be heard in the audience. So I don't think that's an issue of projection. I don't think that pop singers should be expected to project their voices. I think that that's an opera thing. There's no reason to project your voice today with the use of microphones. So in that particular instance, I think that the airiness isn't what's getting in the way, it's the vocal production. And the next point I want to make is they said that airiness is an easy tool to employ. And I just kind of want to disagree with that. It's actually very difficult to sing with airiness in a way that sounds good, and a way that is balanced, right? In order to add the right techniques to have the airiness be balanced properly, it actually does take a fine bit of finessing and finagling with your voice, which is why I tend to not like these like text over video types of technical videos, because you want to hear demonstrations of what it is the person's talking about, and that's one of the big issues I have with these types of videos.
Hope you hoes know it ain't cheap, and I pay my mama bills. I ain't got no time to chill thinking.
So this person's cover was an especially good example of being a rather odd acoustic cover of a rap song, trying to say that the indie voice accent is bad.
I don't know when I misplaced my own perspective, but now I gotta take skirt down, you acting like this, acting like we was more than a summer flake.
And so they're giving examples.
I'm sorry you got karma coming to you, collect your soul, get it right. Pull up inside a buggy, cause I see you not your Dougie. I just open up the back in an hour, I latch my Dougie, and I should be yelling.
Again with the accent and garbled pronunciation, sure. I'm gonna give my opinion here in a second. I'm just letting them have their argument. Not only does it get irritating after a while, but can't it really be unique if so many people use it? Okay, fair enough. I'll address this in a minute.
I've got a lineup of girls and a lineup of guys begging for me just
So they're saying that she's very talented, but her voice isn't unique.
to give them a try. Figures, I'm willing to stay 'cause I'm sick for your love. Wish I could hurt you, babe, but you still put your face in.
And so they're gonna make Zhavia an example here.
I wouldn't wanna wake up with nobody else. And not to kiss away.
But she essentially does the exact same thing. So here's where I'm gonna start to disagree. Zhavia is doing something very different from the previous singer. The previous singer has more of a bright tone,
Give 'em a try. Figure,
almost like a baby voice. Figure, right? Whereas Zhavia is using more of like a dark, almost like a reggae voice. That's what I hear. I think this author is just hearing any accent in singing as being an indie voice or some sort of like artificial thing, which it might be. They might put on that voice for singing, but that doesn't mean that they're all the same. There's another example back here.
I'm sorry you got karma coming to you. Collect your show, get it right.
That example, that was a very different style of singing. It's a very, very different accent from this.
Begging for me just to give 'em a try.
And it's a very, very different accent from this. They're three very different styles and accents. So trying to put them under the same umbrella term to me, I think is problematic in a way. Same with this one. To me, this just sounds like sort of like an R&B sort of an accent. I don't hear it as the indie girl sound.
Welcome to my kitchen. We have bananas and avocado.
So in this example is a very, very different style as well. This is more like the baby voice version in this particular vine. So this is the issue that I'm having with this overall concept and this overall concept of the indie voice or the indie girl voice. Like, yes, is it a thing? Are there singers out there who put on an accent in order to sing a particular song? Absolutely. But does that mean that they're all the same? Not really. Does that mean that it's easy to do? Again, no, because if it was easy to do, everyone would just do it and everyone would be famous, right? Everyone would be amazing. It's important to note that these components do see a lot of overlap. Many of these singers are untrained and seek out other ways to stand out. Or not trained well. Zhavia is an example here. Lots of unnecessary tongue tension here. That's what's making that dark, muffled sound, along with the forced down larynx. So again, I'm gonna have a disagreement here, because if that is the sound that Zhavia is trying to produce, I wouldn't say that anything is unnecessary. Because if her larynx is being held down to make a darker sound, I wouldn't say that that's unnecessary. If that's the sound that she wants and it's healthy for her and she's successful with it, which she clearly is. So all that being said here, what I want to start doing now is show that, again, that just because you sing with an accent doesn't mean that you're doing this indie voice or that there's anything wrong with your voice at all. Every style of singing has some form of an accent. You don't sing exactly the way that you speak. Otherwise, if I were singing something, Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, right, the same way that I'm speaking, it would sound awful. You have to employ some sort of a vowel modification, or another way of putting it is changing your accent as you go up higher, or as you sing in general. Otherwise, you're gonna sound bad. If I want to go, wise men say only fools rush in. I'm modifying my vowels from, we're here, wise men say only fools rush in. There are two different ways of modifying my vowels, right? And they're both accents. One of them is sort of like this accent. The other one's sort of like a this accent. But to say that one is bad and one is good is kind of arbitrary. And I can give you really concrete examples of that with actual singers. Here's Jessie J.
It's a long road when you face the world alone and no one reaches out a hand for you.
What did she say? Did she say reaches out of hand? Did she say hand or did she say hand? Right?
For a hand for you to hold. You
Hold.
can't find love.
You could very easily make a really mean video about Jessie J and say, well, Jessie J's accent and her unnecessary tongue tension and this and that and this and that, but it's not really relevant.
If you search within your
Did she say search or did she say search? Again, let's move on to another example.
so I sit and I realize.
What did she say? Sits and realize or sits and realize? She said realize. Again, the accent is what makes her style unique, quote unquote unique. There's that word again. But that doesn't necessarily take away from her ability to sing.
From my eyes, I gotta change if I wanna keep you forever. I promise that I'm
Keep you forever.
gonna try, but I never meant to hurt ya.
Right? Again, if you guys want to say, okay, well, Jessie J strains, this, that, opera is the real example. So let's take a listen to opera in English, and let's see if they employ any sort of an accent to their vowels to achieve the style that they're going for. Can you understand what she's saying? Nope. Even though it's in English, right? And you know why that is? Because in opera, there's a stylistic preference towards an O or a dark sort of timbre. So all of your vowels are going to morph in that direction. And even if you're singing in English and not Italian, you're going to have difficulty understanding what it is that they're saying. That doesn't mean that opera is bad. That doesn't mean that in opera there's unnecessary tongue tension. That doesn't mean in opera the larynx is unnecessarily low or any of these things. It just means that different accents are required for different styles. And we can keep going on with that. Here's an example of Sia.
To say it's not the time for time tales on
On me.
so come along and won't be until we return.
Hopefully I don't have to explain why that there's a little bit of an accent in there. She's exaggerating her voice for the song to create a certain effect. And again, we can go to Stevie Wonder. Again, this is in every single genre. Every single genre you do this. So focusing on this singer or that singer and then saying, oh, because of the accent, this is bad, or like it's not unique because of the accent. Every genre puts on an accent in order to sing, otherwise it would sound terrible. Stevie Wonder. And if it let me high. You hear that accent? He's talking like this, right? If you were talking like this in real life, you'd be like, what are you doing? He's putting on an accent to sing. It happens in every single genre. Opera, R&B, blues, country. Don't even get me started with country, all right? Don't even get me started with that country shit. Country singers put on it, like there are plenty of country singers that don't talk like this all the time, but when they start singing country, then they have that accent all of a sudden, right? It's not a bad thing. You wouldn't say that, oh, that accent is adding unnecessary this or that. It's just what they need to do in order to fit into the genre or to fit into the style. If Zhavia wants to sing like reggae music, in order to fit that style, she can't have this like high white girl voice. Oh yeah, I'm totally super reggae, everybody. Haha. She has to modify her vowels and her accent in order to sort of, yeah, man, I'm reggae, man. Or whatever the fuck that you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. Modifying your accent, modifying your vowels or whatever to fit into a certain style is just how you sing. So again, that's kind of the issue. It's not that I disagree with the underlying premise, is the indie girl voice super prevalent today? Yes. Do a lot of people not particularly care for that sound? Yes. But when you start getting into this discussion of like, well, your voice isn't actually unique because you're doing an accent, and that makes you not that special and not that cool. It's just like, that's not really necessary. I think it's unnecessarily rude, not only to the singers that you're talking about, but singers who are trying to learn to sing that might like that style. I also think that adding an accent while you're singing can be helpful, right? If someone is, they're unnecessarily dark and they try and sing something, and you try and get them to do an accent like something like this in order to get them to brighten their voice up a little bit, in a sense it's discouraging them from exploring their voice in all its potential places, because there's this assumption that you have to sing with your real voice, right? Not this accent. And there's no such thing as your real voice, because you can do millions of different things with your voice. Anyway, there's tons of different problems that I have with the actual video itself. I don't like that there's no actual singing examples from the person. But anyway, people have been asking me what I thought about it, and that's kind of what I think about it. I just disagree with it. Some people might not like the indie sound. That's fine. You're allowed to have your own tastes and preferences and opinions. But to say that having an accent with you sing is bad or stupid or makes you a bad singer or this or that, I think is just, I don't think that makes any sense. Anyway, all that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Check out my website, youcanSingAnything.com, Patreon and vlog channels in the description. Peace out.